Hello and welcome back. I want to speak about something today that's been coming up in a few of my client sessions recently, and it has done in the past too, and it's just quite relevant to us all because it always comes up for me too. So it is about becoming focused on what still needs to be healed, really just focusing on all the things that still need to change, what still isn't quite there yet, where there are still problems, where there are things that still need to be addressed. And it's the mind scanning still for all of the problems to make sure that we are make sure that we never actually get to the destination we perceive that we need to get to. And when we do this, we completely overlook how far we've actually come on the healing journey. And when we do that, it can feel like this journey is never ending, like there's always something to fix. And yes, and in that's essentially true. We are always going to be expanding and growing. We're never going to stop. Life is always still going to move. But what if, even if there are still things that the mind perceives that we still need to fix, change, or shift through, then that nothing actually is wrong. And I just want you to take a moment to think back to where you were, let's say 3 months ago, and just notice how already you feel like a completely different person. We completely shift ourselves very, very quickly, and we just don't recognise the shift that's been made already. Maybe a year ago, if you think to a year ago, who were you then? Even 2 years ago. It might be, when you think back, the ways that you used to think, the things you used to believe, the way you used to react to certain situations, people, or whatever, the things that you tolerated, and the lack of boundaries that you had in place. Maybe it's some beliefs about yourself that have now shifted, that you've kind of just moved on from and forgotten about, and are still focused on what still needs to be changed. And when we see it, and we really see it, I can almost guarantee that you are definitely not the same person now. You've shifted, you've grown, you've probably softened quite a lot, and your awareness has really sharpened and really come online. But the mind, its job isn't to acknowledge that and remind you of all of those, shifts that you've shifted through, and the courage it's taken to do that. It's always scanning for what's still not right. And this is where the trap is on the awakening journey. It's believing that there's a version of you somewhere in the future that will finally be fully okay in every area of life, and will finally feel completely complete and can finally relax. But the journey, it never really ends. We're always expanding, always evolving, as I said. And the difference is, at a point on the healing journey, we stop fighting that. We just allow that to be exactly as it is. Imagine just being on a dance floor, and in the beginning you might feel a bit self-conscious, a bit nervous, and you're feeling a bit stiff, a bit wooden. I had this on the detox I just went to when we did a Zumba class. I just looked like a kind of stiff wooden top because there was some mirrors facing us. You might be overthinking every move and really just trying to get it right, really in the mind, watching everybody else and just wondering how you look and how they're thinking you look. And that's all the mind. But then something shifts and you stop analysing it, and you stop trying so hard, and trying being the operative word here, and you just let go and you just move, and you maybe close your eyes and you just get into that movement and forget that there's people in the room, dropping out of the ego of what's everybody going to judge me if I look like a giraffe dancing on this dance floor. You just feel the rhythm and you really just trust your body, and then you become part of the music. And that metaphor is really good because when we get to this point on the healing journey and we can just allow life to life, life just becomes like that. You're not trying to control every step, you're just dancing with it. And however that is, or however that looks, you just don't care because you're fully immersed in that music and in that dance that your body is doing. And the only place that that dance can happen is right here, right now, in the present moment. Not in the past, and it's not in the future. It's right here. Because this is the only place that life is actually happening. And when we bring our full attention into the now, something changes. We stop trying to become something, and instead we just begin to fully be who we authentically are. And we just start focusing on what is in front of us, the next thing. We engage with life as it is, with whatever arises in our reality. We just engage with that. A little bit like when you watch a toddler or you watch an animal. They're just fully present and they just engage with whatever is happening around them in the now moment. And in that, there is that really deep sense of peace. And when we're in the mind, we're constantly analysing, problem solving, trying to work everything out. But the mind never has access to the full picture. But the heart does. And I've spoken about this many times before, about when we find ourselves really ruminating and overthinking and really going over things in the mind, that's our cue to go, okay, it's time for me to drop into my heart. Because when we do drop into the heart, we connect to something much deeper. We connect to universal intelligence, the quiet intelligence of knowing. And then that's where everything becomes alive and comes into coherence, into that center point, ignites that filament within. And then body, mind and soul are all then moving together rather than all pulling in different directions. And in that is a complete stillness. Not a really scattered energy, because we've got our energy all over the place in different places. It just all coherently comes together. And then the energy, because it's not scattered, is much bigger, is much stronger, it's a much more powerful force. And at that centre point, and from that place, life just begins to flow so much more effortlessly. And it's just asking you to meet it there. And in the world that we live in, there is so much emphasis on becoming someone, of being important in some way, of being recognised, of being seen. And as you probably know at this point in your life, if you're listening to this, you've probably had achievements that you've done, and every time you've achieved something, it never quite satisfies the ego, because that whole idea is fully just coming from the ego place. It all belongs to the ego. But from the soul perspective, there is no hierarchy. No one person is more important than anyone else, no matter what they are doing or what their life looks like. There is just beingness, just being. And when you can truly connect to that sense of just being, it is such a relief. It takes the pressure off, and we can stop that striving kind of ego personality construct based, I need to prove myself, I need to be seen as good at this or whatever it is, because there is nothing to prove here. You don't have to become anything. You can just be who you are in that now moment. And that's such a relief for the whole of the physical body, but all of the other bodies too. And it's that relief and that letting go of that just brings the whole thing into coherence. And this is where the spiritual rest comes in. And even if your life is full and you're doing a lot, you can find moments of deep rest. Not just physically resting, but energetically resting. Resting in that space where we're not pulling in all of those different directions. Resting from trying to figure everything out. And by doing that, we release fear, anxiety, and we release the need to control things. And in that rest, you can reconnect, you restore, you recalibrate, you rejuvenate, and you come back to yourself, to something that feels whole. So if you take anything from this today, just let it be this. Just take a moment to really acknowledge yourself, to just see how far you've come, and then just breathe. Consciously imagine dropping from the head into the heart space, and trust and know that you are exactly where you need to be. You are exactly where you should be, that life is unfolding exactly as it should, and you don't need to fight it. You can simply just move with it. Allow it to move through you. Allow it to take you to places that you could never possibly have imagined. Allow it to take you on adventures. Just really being fully present in the now moment, in that coherent space, is such a beautiful place to be. So I will leave you with that. I hope that helps someone today. I would love to hear your comments and your feedback. I'd love to know where you are from. And I will see you in the next one. Have a beautiful day.